Hello, my name is Brian Laufer, Vice President here at QuoteWerks. This video will introduce you to scripting in QuoteWerks. QuoteWerks has built-in VB scripting in the Corporate Edition, which enables you to write code to extend the functionality of QuoteWerks, including performing special validations, checking for combinations of items, and more. QuoteWerks scripting takes advantage of API events within the application itself without the need of an externally written application. If you do not have programming or scripting experience, we offer professional services and work with partners to assist in the writing of QuoteWerks scripts. QuoteWerks Technical support is not designed to provide assistance with scripting. Before starting, there are 3 prerequisites. 1. You must be using the Corporate Edition of QuoteWerks. 2. You must sign the QuoteWerks Developer Agreement to gain access to the SDK. And 3. You must have some scripting or programming experience. Once you've received your QuoteWerks SDK, you will have access to the QuoteWerks API Reference Guide, which I have open now. In this guide, there is a section that reviews the basics of QuoteWerks scripting and how to implement a script, and also some samples. So let's start off by using this reference guide to start our first script. And what we're going to do is we're going to look under the implementation here, and it's going to talk about adding a section called scripting in this site.ini file. So let's go ahead and do that first. So to do that, what I'm going to do is go under Help and About, go under System, go into Install Path, and then let's find our site.ini. And let's go ahead and bring that over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just copy what we have in our reference guide. So we've got here. And we'll talk about what this is going to do. So in here, we've got a section called scripting. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit cleaner here. And we have 2 different events that will trigger our script, or single script, depending on what we'd like to do. So we've got before save document and before print document. And there's other events within QuoteWerks that can trigger a script as well. But these are going to be the most common ones that you're going to use, because this will make sure that a document, before it's sent to the customer or before it's saved, has all the appropriate information in it. And so in here we've got a folder called applets that'll be in the QuoteWerks directory, and then we have a script name before save document event script. Now you can have a different script for each event within QuoteWerks, or you can have them all run the same one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new script within our applets folder, and we'll just call this script video. .vbs, that's for VB script, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and do that as well. So basically, before save and before print, it's going to do the exact same script. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we'll go ahead and save this, close out, and we're going to go into our applets folder, and we're going to go ahead and create a new text document. And we're just going to go ahead and call it scriptvideo.vbs. And we're just going to double click on it. Edit that document there, and that'll bring it up in Notepad. And you can either use Notepad or Visual Studio or other scripting utilities out there. For our example here, though, it's just going to be simple to use Notepad. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and move this on over to my other monitor here. And I'm going to go ahead and restart QuoteWerks. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that the site.ini is read, so QuoteWerks knows that we need to go ahead and run a script for each of those events. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring over our script, and we'll go ahead and move that over there, and then we'll bring over our reference guide and bring that up here. Okay, so now I've got both my script and my reference guide on the same screen here, and we can take a look at what we've got here. In our first example, let's go ahead and force a sales tax to be set, because that's an issue that a lot of people would like to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy our existing example, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what this actually means here. But first, I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up. Okay, so now I've cleaned up our script here, and let's talk about what we've got here. So at the top, I've got my declaration here. So we're dimming our doc index and our state. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the current document index. And basically, the reason that we're doing that is to make sure that a document is open, as you can see here. And then, so if the document index is -1, then that means there are no current documents open in QuoteWerks, so we're not going to be able to do anything. So, assuming that it's not -1, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the state from the sold to state field. So to do that, we're going to use the application object, use the doc functions, and then we're going to get a header value called sold to state. And for the header values, it's really easy to know what the whole list are because you can just open up the database and you can see all the fields that we would use. And that's basically all you would need to do there. So, and then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to see if the sold to state is Florida. In this case, we're going to uppercase it. And if it is equal to Florida, then we're going to apply a sales tax. In this case, we're going to go ahead and apply a 7%. So that's all there is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save the document. Our scripting video, our script video script here, and we're going to go ahead and go over to QuoteWerks real quick here, and we'll go ahead and bring in a contact, and the contact we'll look for is Joe from Joe's Brewing here, and we'll go ahead and bring him in. Now let's go ahead and go over to the Sale Info tab, and you'll notice that this tax rate is 8%. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. And you'll notice that right over here, our tax rate automatically changed to 7%. And that happened because of the script that was ran. And what I can do is I can double click down here at the bottom, and that's going to let me know that a script was run before the saved document. Okay? All right, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and bring over our script video again. And we'll go ahead and bring over our documentation and maybe add some more functionality here. Now, it's great to be able to work with the actual header values within the document, but let's go ahead and talk about looping through the line items in the document as well. And for that, we're just going to go ahead and borrow some of the information here from the price modifier example here. And what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and bring the loop line items. Okay. And we'll go ahead and bring this down below here. Paste that in and then clean it up. Now if you're using another like a script editor, it'll do a lot of the formatting for you. In Notepad, obviously, it's not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a for loop here, and we're going to loop through all of our items, and we're going to go, oops, if I can spell here, we're going to go ahead and go from 0 to the line item count -1. And the reason we're doing that is because the line items themselves are 0 based, the rows are, and the total line count is going to give you the actual line count. So if there are 2 lines on a document, the line item count is going to give you 2, but the max line items would actually be 1 because it's going to be 0 and 1 for those items. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and close our for loop here. Let's do a next. And then, so now what we need to do is actually do something with our line items. And something we can do with line items is maybe you have a labor account that's stored with each of your line items when it's added to the document. So what we can do is we can go ahead and bring that in to a document headers custom field. So what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and get our hour count for our labor. So we're going to go ahead and dimension hour for labor, and we'll go ahead and copy that, and we'll do one more. Oops. And do hours for labor total, And then at the beginning here, we're going to go ahead and do, say the total is equal to 0. And then maybe our actual labor count is going to be stored in like our custom text field. So what I'm going to do, maybe custom text 01. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do hours for labor is going to be equal to, and just to make my life a little bit easier here, we'll go ahead and make this a little bit wider. So our labor is going to be equal to our application dot item functions, because we're going to be getting something from items, and then we're going to get the value of the hours that's required for this item, and that's going to be line item get value. And then basically from here, we have to go ahead and say what line we're going to be looking on. And we're going to be looking on I line items, because that's what our loop counter is here. And we're going to go ahead and bring it in from the, in this case, we'll go ahead and say custom text 01. So what that'll mean is the number of labors for the line item will be stored in custom text 01. So from here, what we'll need to do then is also take into account the quantity for it. So let's go for that line item. So let's go ahead and dimension a quantity, and then we'll go ahead and say quantity is going to be equal to, we can copy most of that, save some time, and that's going to be equal to quantity total. And just like what we were doing before with the header values, if you don't know a name of a field, you can always go into the database and you'll see that value. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get our total going, and for that we're going to do our labor total is going to be equal to our labor total plus I hours for labor times our quantity. All right, so now that's going to give us our total for all of our labor. And so now what we'll need to do then is write that back to the document inside of QuoteWerks. So to do that, what we're going to do, actually taking a look at this, I want to move that end if up here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and write that in. So we're going to go ahead and take this, Control C. So then at the end, after we've cycled through all of them, we're going to go ahead and write that in. And we're going to do it to maybe custom number 02. So custom number 02 will be our labor total, and what we're going to write in is going to be I hours for labor total. So basically what we're doing is we're setting the value of custom number 02 with the labor total, and we're going to go ahead and refresh that field. So let's go ahead and save it and see what we've got now. So let's go ahead and actually get some data in here, and I'm going to go ahead and customize my columns real quick. Okay, so now I've got my custom text 01 column that's visible here, and what I'll do here is we'll just have a widget 01 and a widget 02, and custom text 01 is going to be a 3, and custom text, and then our widget 02 is going to take 4 hours to install. So what we should get in our custom number 02 field on our custom tab, which will be right here, should be 7. So let's go ahead and save our document here. Cancel, and voila, we've got our 7. So now let's go ahead and apply our quantity, do one last test, set that to a 4, go go ahead and go over here, take a look at it, and our number is now correct with 19 hours. So what I'm going to do to make this a little bit more permanent, I'm going to go ahead and rename custom number 02 to labor hours. And to do that, I'm going to hold down Control, double click on custom number 02, name it to labor hours. Now, you can do a lot more than just putting it into this field here. You can customize your scripts to actually add a labor line that would have a quantity of, say, 19 if you wanted to as well. And you can definitely call in for professional services or work with some of our partners. We do have example scripts that will do that as well. So let's go ahead and do one last example, and we're going to keep editing our existing script. And what we're going to do is do a lease factor or a lease total. That way we could give our customer the choice between buying it outright or applying a lease. So what we'll do first is let's go ahead and customize QuoteWerks. And what we'll do is custom text 07. Again, holding down Control and double clicking on the label. That will be our lease months. So in this case, we'll go ahead and say it'll be for 36 months. And 08, we'll go ahead and make that be our lease factor. So we could put that at like we'll do 0.0029. So now we've got our number of months, our factor, and then what we could do here is lease per month. There we go. So we've got our lease per month. So now we need to actually calculate that out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and bring up our script. And let's go ahead and add a new section just to make it a little bit easier to read. And we'll call this lease calc. And this is a very basic lease calc that we're going to be doing. You can definitely do some more advanced ones, but this is just going to be a very simple one for us to work with. So let's go ahead and dimension I months, dimension I factor, and dimension I, probably L, or D I should say, D lease per month. Okay, so our I months, if we bring that over here, is going to be equal to, and we're going to get a document header value, so we're just going to go ahead and copy this. And that was in custom text 07, I believe that was our months. And one thing I do want to note, make sure that the fields are strings when you're putting them in there. Good. And then our factor is going to be equal to custom text 07, actually it's 08, so we'll go ahead and bring that in. Clean that up. And then lastly, we're going to need to actually calculate our lease per month. And again, I'm going to be using a very simple calculation here. Actually, before that, we also need our grand total. Again, we're just going to steal that from there. And the grand total is just grand total. And then our lease per month is a very simple calculation of I months times I factor times the grand total. So now that we've got our lease per month, let's go ahead and write that into the document. So again, we're going to just copy a lot of what we've already got here. And we're going to go ahead and set the custom header value, which in this case is going to be custom text 09. Oops. That's what I get for cheating here. And we're going to set that as lease per month. And again, we're going to update. So let's go ahead and save this. And let's see if that worked. So again, we're going to need to actually have a grand total in here. So we'll go ahead and set our prices for this. Probably make these a little bit larger numbers. So our grand total now with tax is going to be $32,100. And if I go over to our custom field here, let's go ahead and see what we've got. So I'm just going to click on save, and voila, we've got our lease per month. As you've seen, there's a lot that you can do with scripting to customize QuoteWerks to fit the unique needs of your organization. And best of all, it's easy to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have questions about this functionality or any other questions about QuoteWerks, please feel free to give us a call at 407-248-1481.